My parents always favored my brother and paid for his lifestyle. When I became a millionaire through my own efforts, they attempted to manipulate my will. Their legal strategy spectacularly backfired. I was born into a family where expectations and love were never distributed equally. From my earliest memories, there was a clear hierarchy. My brother was the golden child, and I was perpetually the disappointment. My parents weren't subtle about their favoritism, it was a glaring, constant presence that shaped every aspect of our lives. My brother, let's call him Michael, was 3 years older and seemed to float through life on a cloud of parental adoration. Every achievement was celebrated, every minor setback was cushioned, every dream was financially supported. When he wanted to change college majors 3 times, my parents paid without a second thought. When he decided to backpack through Europe for a year, they funded the entire trip. When he struggled to hold down a job, they subsidized his lifestyle without hesitation. Me? I was a different story entirely. From the moment I showed any independence, I was met with skepticism and criticism. "You're too ambitious," my mother would say. "Not everyone needs to be a workaholic," my father would comment, usually right after praising Michael for some mundane accomplishment. I discovered my passion for technology early. While other kids were playing video games, I was learning to code. My first computer was one I saved for and bought myself at 14, working weekends at a local computer repair shop. Every skill I acquired was self-taught, every opportunity was one I created through sheer determination. My parents saw my interest in technology as a phase. "Get a real job," they'd say. "Be more like Michael," was a phrase I heard so often it might as well have been a family motto. Michael, who was working a series of part-time marketing jobs and living in our parents' guest house well into his 30s, was somehow still the standard I was supposed to meet. The tech world, however, doesn't care about family dynamics. It rewards skill, innovation, and relentless hard work. During college, while taking a full course load, I started developing a software solution that addressed a significant gap in enterprise communication platforms. Most people thought it was just another student project. My professors were supportive but cautious, my classmates were skeptical. What they didn't understand was my level of commitment. I wasn't just building a project, I was building my escape route. Every line of code was a step away from the narrative my family had written for me. I lived on instant noodles, worked 18-hour days, and refused to accept any financial help from my parents, not that they were offering. When I finally launched my startup, the initial reception was lukewarm. But I knew the product had potential. I refined it, networked ruthlessly, and attracted the attention of several angel investors who saw what my family never did: raw potential and unwavering commitment. The acquisition came like a thunderbolt. A major tech corporation saw the revolutionary potential of my platform and made an offer that would change everything. The 8-figure sum wasn't just money, it was validation. It was proof that the black sheep could not only survive but absolutely thrive. My parents' reaction was telling. Suddenly, I was the successful son. The same people who had spent decades undermining my confidence were now desperate to be associated with my success. Family gatherings became a circus of fake congratulations and thinly veiled attempts to understand the extent of my wealth. But I wasn't naive. I knew their sudden warmth wasn't about love, it was about access. Michael, who had always been financially dependent, saw me as his new potential benefactor. My parents, realizing their golden child might not have the earning potential they had imagined, started plotting. Their legal strategy was as calculated as it was desperate. They hired an expensive law firm specializing in estate litigation, believing they could challenge my will's validity. They thought money could buy them what decades of actual parental support never could: control over my success. What they didn't know was that I had been preparing for this moment my entire life. My will was a masterpiece of legal engineering. Drafted by a top-tier estate planning lawyer, it was bulletproof. Medical evaluations confirmed my complete mental competence. Every potential loophole was sealed, every possible challenge was anticipated. The legal battle that ensued was brutal. Their lawyer was aggressive, filing motion after motion, trying every conceivable angle to invalidate my wishes. They spent what must have been close to $500,000 in legal fees, convinced they would break through. The court's response was swift and unequivocal. Not only did they reject every single one of my parents' claims, but they also imposed significant sanctions for frivolous litigation. The judge's language was unusually pointed, essentially calling out their transparent attempt to legally manipulate their way into my estate. The financial repercussions were devastating for them. The legal fees, combined with court-imposed sanctions, decimated their savings. Michael, who had always relied on their financial support, was suddenly facing a reality where the family safety net had been permanently cut. I didn't seek additional revenge. My success was revenge enough. Instead, I channeled my energy into positive change. I established scholarship funds for underprivileged students in technology, created mentorship programs for young entrepreneurs from challenging backgrounds, and focused on building a life of purpose and meaningful impact. My parents attempted reconciliation afterward, but the damage was irreparable. Their years of emotional manipulation had finally caught up with them. They had bet everything on a legal strategy that not only failed but backfired in the most spectacular fashion possible. The true victory wasn't the money. It was the complete independence I had achieved, not just financially, but emotionally. I had broken free from a toxic narrative and written my own story. It's been half a decade since the legal battle that forever changed the trajectory of my life, and I've decided to share the final chapter of this saga. Many who followed my previous posts have asked for an update, and I believe it's time to provide closure to this complex narrative. After the court's decisive ruling, my life underwent a profound transformation. The victory wasn't just financial, it was a complete recalibration of my personal and professional existence. The scholarship and mentorship programs I established have become my true legacy, supporting over 250 young entrepreneurs and tech innovators from backgrounds similar to my own. My brother Michael's life took a dramatically different path. The financial safety net he had relied on for decades suddenly disappeared. Without the constant parental support, he was forced to confront the reality of his own capabilities. Last I heard, he had taken an entry-level sales job and was slowly learning to stand on his own feet. The entitlement that had defined his earlier life was gradually being replaced by a newfound understanding of personal responsibility. My parents, once powerful and manipulative, have become shadows of their former selves. The legal sanctions decimated their financial resources, and the social repercussions were equally devastating. Their social circle, once filled with people who admired their perceived success, quickly evaporated. The community they had cultivated through years of social maneuvering collapsed under the weight of their own actions. The most significant revelation came through a series of unexpected conversations. Several extended family members reached out, sharing stories of similar experiences. I discovered that my parents' pattern of emotional manipulation and financial control wasn't unique to me. Many relatives had similar stories, but fear and social pressure had kept them silent. This realization led me to create something beyond the initial scholarship programs. I established a support network for individuals dealing with toxic family dynamics, particularly those involving financial manipulation. The network provides legal resources, emotional support, and practical guidance for those seeking to break free from generational patterns of control. My technological ventures continue to evolve. The company born from my original startup has grown into a significant player in enterprise communication technologies. We've maintained a company culture that prioritizes merit, innovation, and personal growth, a direct counterpoint to the toxic environment I escaped. Financially, I've committed to a philosophy of strategic philanthropy. Instead of merely accumulating wealth, I've focused on creating systemic changes. The scholarship programs have expanded to include comprehensive support, not just tuition, but mentorship, internship opportunities, and mental health resources for young entrepreneurs from challenging backgrounds. The legal battle taught me something profound about power dynamics. True strength isn't about winning a single confrontation but about creating sustainable, positive change. My parents' attempt to control me through legal manipulation ultimately empowered me to create a platform for others to find their own path. Reconciliation, I've learned, isn't always possible or necessary. Some relationships are beyond repair, and recognizing that is a form of healing in itself. My limited contact with my parents is now purely transactional and minimal, a far cry from the emotional roller coaster of my earlier years. To those who are currently navigating similar family dynamics, my message is simple: your worth is not determined by your family's perception. Success is the best revenge, but true victory lies in transcending the narrative they've written for you. The most profound transformation has been internal. The child who was constantly told he wasn't good enough has become a creator, a mentor, and a catalyst for change. The financial victory was significant, but the personal growth has been immeasurable. As I close this chapter, I'm reminded that family is not about blood, but about support, respect, and genuine love. The family I've created, through my work, my support network, and my chosen relationships, is infinitely more meaningful than the one I was born into. To everyone who has followed this journey, thank you for your support, your messages, and your shared stories. Sometimes, the most powerful act of rebellion is simply living well and creating opportunities for others.